It's the cold hard truth. Everyone really want to know what's going on with her show. Just get on the air and you will know it's Sandra. The queen of the mile road is here, helping people from everywhere. Get on the phone and you will hear Sandra. Now she will tell you how it goes, but don't you ever step on her toes, 'cause you will hear the cold hard truth from Sandra. They say she's the hero in town, helping people from all around. You get a call, your money is found, it's Sandra. Some will call her late at night just to say that there's a fight, and she will not just leave it alone. She'll get up and call on the phone, and when politics starts on her show, everyone really wants to know the way the things will really go with Sandra. Some will start to criticize, get on the show and tell pure lies, but soon they will realize it's Sandra. And when they start to argue again, she'll pull the heads to the wind, and soon you will be a friend with Sandra. 'Cause every day everyone wanna hear from Sandra. Every day, everyone wanna hear from Sandra. 'Cause every day, everyone got to hear from Sandra. 'Cause every day, everyone got to hear from Sandra.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Wednesday. It is Hump Day Wednesday. This week is just flying by, honey child. Everybody's good? Got a full show for you today. Good morning, wee wee. I see you on Instagram. How you doing? Good morning to everybody on Facebook. We got a full slate of people logging on already. We have YouTube, of course. I'm just here in the process of updating my links for both of those channels. I can send that out in WhatsApp. And yeah, we got a lot to talk about. Just got a video this morning about the situation at the prison. We're gonna dig into this because I don't know what's going on, but it ain't good. And somebody's gonna get blocked this morning. It kind of makes me feel good, actually. It makes me feel good when I have finally run out of patience. Sometimes I am too patient of a person. I know that might be hard to believe. Y'all are sitting here going, has Sandy lost her head? And she talking about she too patient? Yes, I am. I sit back and I take it and I take it and I take it. And then one morning I wake up and I say, no more. Today is going to be the day of reckoning, honey child. Right, Zeus? He's in the studio with me. So, yes, it is indeed going to be the day of reckoning for some of you. All righty. Let me just grab the links here. Oh, boy, he's already barking at me. All right, sir, sit in your chair. Come, sit. Come on. You sit in the chair. I'm going to stand today. Go ahead, jump up. Good boy. He's so sweet. Good boy. There we go. Mama's going to be standing today during the show. So you are all good. All right. Everybody having a blessed morning thus far? Let me put on my glasses so I can kind of see what I'm doing here. Yep. And then we're gonna do a deep dive. I've got someone messaging me all the way from Nepal this morning saying that they're looking for a job. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm not hiring. So plus what they're suggesting I do is illegal. We're gonna get into that as well. And boy, I tell you what, these people don't seem to care about they don't seem to care about anything when it comes to proper employment. Okay. Let me just see here. All right, give me 1 second. I do need to listen to something. I see someone trying to reach me quite urgently. So let's just take a commercial break because I got to listen to this message. And then we'll be right back. This seems like an urgent situation.
The Economics and Statistics Office, ESO, is currently conducting the annual business surveys until June 12. The surveys collect information to answer questions like, how did the economy perform in 2025? In 2025, how much did foreign companies invest in the Cayman Islands? The surveys include all relevant entities that produce goods and services in the Cayman Islands. The surveys are confidential under the Statistics Act and are exempt from the Freedom of Information Act. Your response matters. Do your part. Fill out and return your survey forms to the ESO. Remember, better data, better decisions, better business. For assistance in filling out the forms or for more information, visit eso.ky or call 244-4676 or 244-4600.
The Spring Labour Force and Quality of Life surveys conducted by the Economics and Statistics Office begin Sunday, April 26th. The Labour Force Survey collects information on employment and unemployment in the Cayman Islands, while the Quality of Life Survey gathers feedback on well-being, financial security, community belonging and overall life satisfaction. Trained interviewers with official ESO ID cards will visit randomly selected households. All interviews are confidential under the Statistics Act, and no individual information will be published. For details, call the ESO hotline at 5163329.
All right, trying to get to the bottom of this, but I'm a little bit confused. This will make no sense. This will make no sense whatsoever. Hello?
Yeah, hello.
Morning. Okay, so we received, I guess it's you, you're saying it's you, but we received this video in relation to a prison incident. In the video, you're saying that you were jumped by somebody.
That wasn't a prison video. That was at my friend's house.
So somebody jumped you or they didn't jump you? Why would you say that when it was something else?
No, because I was just trolling. On the media. I know that's stupid, but I have the video where I actually did it and fell on my face. I can send you that video if you don't believe me.
Okay, I'm just confused as to why you would do that, knowing how people share content in this day and age. I mean, that.
That's true, sir, but I was just trolling, We young, we do stupid things.
Yeah, you can't be in this day and age. You can't be young and stupid all the time. I mean, y'all need to get it together because basically someone sent that to me saying, hey, this is the situation at the prison. And then, of course, that would go viral, right? All right.
I expect that to go viral. That's why I'm asking
Expect anything you do where you're making allegations against people and it includes blood that go viral. That's what I would suggest going forward. But this time of morning, I'm on air right now, so I was trying to understand what you were saying in your typed messages, so that's why I decided to let me just call you back.
Thanks for that too, man.
All right, my dear.
But yeah, man, I would just appreciate if we could take it down still. That was misunderstanding, and then I got all kind of people messaging me, and you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, boy, you can't really. Somebody say you're crying wolf, so you can't really do things like this because these are serious times, where we're trying to help people, and this is if the story don't really go so, this is a complete waste of our time. I was about to defend you this morning, saying that you don't deserve to get licked, but sound like you need a lick upside your head for real for pulling this kind of stunt. All right.
So you gotta take it down already.
Yeah. Now I have to go online and find time to do that in the middle of my show. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would appreciate that, man. Thanks a lot.
All right. Okay, cool.
All right, thanks, Miss Sandra.
All righty. Ah, boy. Okay. I'm not understanding the logic here of why someone would, as Lavonna said, cry wolf in a situation like that. But if he said that story is not the case, then I guess we're gonna go with his second version, because I wasn't there. I don't know what happened to him. So yeah. All right. What a hot mess. Okay. So, and those of you who are a little bit lost this morning, you're like, what the heck is going on? We received a video of a young man with a bloody head, and the caption was, where's the minister, Nick DaCosta, in relation to what is happening at the prison? And so, there was an incident 2 nights ago, which we do need to discuss. And of course, the logical trail here is that those two are related. So now the young man is saying, no, he was in a car accident and he was just playing around, which, like I said, that don't make no sense. But if you say so, and he actually did a video about 6 people jump him or something. So yeah, that's stupid. But he says he's young and stupid. He just said he's young and stupid and doing stupid stuff. Okie dokie. But we are going to talk about what transpired and why, in fact, we do not, we don't really have any information on this incident. So, okay, there you have it. All right, so I guess whoever sent it to me, I'll inform them, because this is what we have to do. That he's saying that nope, that's not related to an actual assault. He says he was in a car accident. Okay, what a mess. All right, let's dive in. Let me first send out the links before I forget to do that to our other groups here. And then we're going to go ahead and get started. So good morning again to everyone. Thank you guys so much for waking up every morning with us as we sit here ready to tackle the many issues that we are facing here in this country, which, by the way, not for nothing, but we take these issues very, very seriously. Nothing to joke about. We've had on more than one occasion the necessity to try to defend I shouldn't say what's happening in prison, but at the very minimum, we try to defend the prisoners. And in fact, we know, for example, that they have our number blocked in prison so that they can no longer call us. And that happened as a result of us one day. It was a holiday Monday. I can't remember which holiday it was, but it was definitely a holiday Monday. And the prisoners were calling in to the program with some of their concerns. Now, listen, they may have done wrong, yes, getting into prison, no doubt, but I am not here to say that they have no rights at all once they're in prison, and that they are to be treated less than humane. We have to have some minimum standards, quite frankly, for our prisoners. So, you know, they have to spend their time. And I'm not saying giving them lobster and caviar for dinner is the way to go. But what I am saying is that we can't abuse them. We should give them access to, you know, certain basic things. And they shouldn't be able to be beating each other up in prison either. So I don't know what this fight the other night was all about. But what I am concerned about is the fact that the ministry has said absolutely nothing about it. So we're going to break that down this morning as well. Okay, so buenos dias. Good morning. All right, so maybe we should start with this story first, since we've already kind of started with this story about how we got here and what the ministry responsible for prisons is actually doing. I'm assuming this is Nick DaCosta's ministry because of the comment that I saw associated with that video. The insinuation there, of course, is that where's the minister and what's happening at the prison. All right. Yeah, I mean, inquiring minds do want to know what's happening. So let's back up here for a second and dial it back to Monday night. So Monday night, we started getting some messages that some incident had happened at the prison where several inmates had gone into a cell of another inmate and had assaulted him, stabbed him multiple times. Now, you know, trying to be reasonable, journalists, Mile Road being what it is, we received it multiple times. The first thing I did was I reached out to someone with the RCIPS because I'm operating on the assumption that if somebody's assaulted, multiple people are assaulted, people gone to hospital and this and that, surely the police must know about it, right? So I reached out. I can't tell y'all who I reached out to, obviously. I have people. You know, they don't normally, I'm going to be quite frank and honest with you, the police don't really share much. And when I ask them for confirmation of something, they really do take their time getting back with an official statement. They're not the fastest. Let me just put it that way. Okay. So we've come to know this about them. But nonetheless, I thought to myself, before I publish it, and then somebody comes back to me and says, oh no, that's incorrect information, let me reach out to them and see what they have to say. So I did reach out. And the response, and I'm going to quote, and the funny thing is, there is a certain individual who's been trolling us for a minute now, bless his little heart. And I am going to actually block him as of today, and I'm going to tell you why. It's not so much about the trolling, but it's more about the fact that he has picked a name that actually belongs to somebody else, and that person is very concerned. But because he has been getting messages and people inquiring if that's actually him, because that's the only person with that name that they know, you know, and they're like, are you making all these comments on social media? And he's like, oh my God, no. So he's actually sent us, my apologies for the little noise there. He's actually sent us an official statement that he wanted us to share, you know, with the community to let y'all know that that isn't him. And he takes his job and his position in this community very, very seriously. So that isn't him all over Mall Road making these comments. We'll get to that here in a second, because I'm going to dissect that a little bit more. But I only mentioned that individual at this stage of the discourse because I noticed that they commented on the corrective post about what happened Monday night, saying that, because we said, listen, you know, we checked with police and they said, no, nothing was going on. And of course, Patrick Bodden, I'm referring to you now, not the real Patrick Bodden, but the fake account Patrick Bodden. Patrick, whoever this person is, obviously his name's not Patrick. He responded and said, oh no, you didn't ask the police nothing. This is just fake news or some foolishness, he said. So I was like, boy, please go take several seats. Like y'all are just redunculous. So Patrick is going to get blocked today. I will do him the pleasure of blocking him. And I'm so surprised that those of you who, which I get it, you know, there's actually quite a few of you who don't know what CMR really stands for and what we do. So any kind of foolishness, you just like it. And so, of course, he had like 12 other people, which is a small amount given how many followers we have, to be honest, like his comment. So I had to chuckle at that. Here's the thing. There's zero reason for us to ever make anything up. We're not in the business. Oh, he got 2 more people liking it. Oh, this is rich. We are not in the business of making up news. Okay. There is way too much news out there for us to have to engage in that behavior. So let me show you. Again, those of you might not be completely caught up to speed here. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So this is the post that I'm referring to where we did an update and we provided the information that was given to us. And then the question I asked is, did the police get it wrong when CMR inquired? So of course, fake Patrick, and like I said, this is a fake account. I don't know why y'all become friends with people. Tosca, please unfriend this person. Why y'all friends with people who you don't even know who they are? I asked Kyle and he's like, I don't know who that is. Then why are you friend? Y'all are very slack with your social media. Let me see if I can increase the size. Hold on. Y'all are very slack with your social media practices, okay? So of course he jumps in, got it wrong again. Not the police got it wrong. You did, by wanting to be the first all the time, that you don't care if it's truth or not. Patrick, if it was 9:30 in the morning, I would have a few choice words for you, but it's only 7:59. Because I would tell you what you could do where the sun don't shine in the beautiful Caribbean Sea. Okay? But it's 7:59. Look at the time. Gosh darn it. So let me be very, very clear. And I know most of you don't need me to provide any evidence. I mean, I don't even know why I'm entertaining such an idiot, and along with the other 14 people who actually liked the post, let's see who they are. None of them I don't even think live in Cayman. I don't know who these people are and where they be coming out from, but they can sure find us. None of these people don't live in Cayman. These look like all fake accounts, if you ask me. Followed by one person. It's like, come on. Oh, this one, Michael Burt, he lives in Cayman. We got to check him out, see if that looks like a real account. Yeah, boy, he has 139 friends, but they be locking their account. So anyway, let's show the proof of what actually happened. Like I said, there's zero reason for me to have to make any of this up. But just in case anybody was in doubt, let's go ahead and have a look here this morning. Buenos dias. All right. So we have here, let me just pull that out. Excuse the mad hair look this morning. We have here me messaging someone on the RCIPS, making this inquiry as to whether or not there was an incident. All right. Now I want y'all to pay attention to the time. This was Monday. I'm going to show you the date stamp, the time, and exactly what the response was. And I can't tell you who this individual is, but if you knew who it was, it would make the point that I'm making even more convincing. But I'm not going to do that. That's not necessary. Because at some point, either you believe me or you don't, and it's going to just be what it is, right? So I don't really have to prove anything to anybody, but just stand by, and I'm going to show you guys the message in question. So we received several pieces of correspondence about there being a big fight at Northward, and that evidently, you know, at least one or more persons were injured. And so now I'm on the hunt for what's actually going on. So like I said, it's logical, of course, for me to reach out to the police first and foremost and say, hey, you know, this is what I'm hearing. And this now is where we're going to bring it forward. I mean, I even had people saying to me, well, the police are lying. If they told you that, Sandy, they're lying. And I said, well, I mean, I don't know why the police would lie about such a thing, because honestly, it's only a matter of time before this obviously comes to fruition, right? All right, so here we go. This is Monday evening. People were circulating this, and it was very heavily circulated. So, you know, knowing now what I know about how social media works and how rumors, this is the literal Mall Road. This is why Mall Road was named the Mall Road, right? We know how this stuff works. And you can feel the feverishness of it all in the community in terms of what's happening. And you kind of know that it's legit at some point when everybody's saying the same thing, but I reached out to the police. And this is at 6:36. I forwarded them the message, and the message said, big fight in Northwood Prison. 4 guys open a prison cell and stab up 1 man. So that was generally, there were some of the messages that had a little bit more detailed information, but that was generally what was being heavily circulated. And as you can see here, my question is, can you confirm? Right? So they replied, you know, don't quote me. So in other words, don't tell anybody that so-and-so said so-and-so, but no, nothing of the sort. That was the response. Then you see me respond and said, okay, thanks. I will dispel the rumor. So that's why the first post was posted that said, you know, this isn't true. Because if this officer is saying, you know, no, nothing of the sort, then I'm going to take his word for it. But I'm going to show you, and there's quite a logical reason why they would have gotten it wrong. It's not because they're trying to be deceptive or they were trying to lie to CMR. It's quite honestly because the prison never told them that anything happened. So I'm sure they're thinking, if something like this happened at prison, surely we would know, like I thought, surely the police would know that it happened. And when I went back to them a little bit later on, I said, listen, I have people saying to me, this is not fake news. There are people in the hospital. They see the officers there, et cetera, et cetera. You know, are you sure that this isn't, you know, I'm like, come on now, is something not sitting right even with me here? Then they came back at 9:28 and said, I'll make further inquiries. It appears, again, I'm going to show it to you, because if you're in the Patrick camp, you think that we have time to be making up stuff here on CMR, when I can tell you there's zero reason for us to have to make anything up, right? So that's ludicrous and ridiculous. While that image is populating, let me just quickly read a few of your comments as well. Morning, Johan. Marissa says, good morning to everybody. Abby's in the house. Sheldon Reed, hello. Melita. Aliana says, yes, Patrick. Yes, Patrick. Take block, damn Trump clown. And it is ironic that he is a Trump supporter. And I suspect that that's why we have this fake account even being created. And as this person says here, she's another idiot. At least he won, unlike her. Who's she? Anyway, that was some of the message. But they said Patrick is probably one of the Trumpsters, and his comments were probably liked by the other few Trumpsters who are also trolling your page. It's ironic that this person should say that because he actually is a Trumpster. I mean, you know, sometimes the truth is there's irony in the truth. All right. So my apologies. Sinuses. I got to take my allergy tablet this morning. They're still a little bit irritated. So yeah, I had people saying to me, no, Sandy. This is not fake news. Here's this one. I was in the A&E when they brought the boys in. A lot of stab wounds were on their bodies. And so then I go back to my source within the RCIPS and I say, are you sure that this didn't go so? This is how the mall road works. This is how we get our source. I'm like, are you sure it didn't go so or close to so? Because I'm feeling like it goes so, right? And then they got back, and I'm going to show you exactly what they had to say. The second time I followed up to say, I think something actually did happen here. Talk to me. Check it out. And so then the police came back, and then I got a formal, and this is why, again, unfortunately, we don't always, you know, we can't always wait on the police, because if we wait on the police, we'd be waiting like 24, 48 hours after an incident. That's not how news works. So the one thing that Patrick had right is he's like, by wanting to be the first all the time, well, yeah, that's a news business, honey child. If we're the last, then that'll make no sense. Why are we in the news business? To give y'all stale and old news? You might as well wait till the Friday edition of the printed paper to read it. So no, we're in the business of getting you the news as soon as we can. But of course, accuracy is indeed the most important thing. So my source came back and said, I'm making further inquiries. It appears, it looks like something did occur, but they did not want police involvement. Give me some time. Then in an official capacity, because at the same time that I was messaging this person, of course, I'm messaging their media person. And once again, you know, that person is slow to respond. You know, I get that they have their processes. And so the, let's see. Let me see here now. I get that they have their processes, and so they oftentimes don't really get back to us in a timely manner, so to speak. Not timely for us, timely for them, perhaps, I don't know, but certainly not timely for media. All right, so you guys then understand how this works. There are times when we don't have official confirmation, but we still post it up to say, hey, this is what the mall road is saying. Once we get official confirmation, then we can certainly, you know, that's when we then go on the website and we put it up on the website and so on. This camera is a little bit close. We're going to just back that up a little bit. And so that is exactly now what we had happened. All right, so they said they're going to make further inquiries. I said, okay. And then once I started to get details from people at the hospital, at the scene, right? Who were, you can't say, you do know you can't be really calling me during the show to say something privately. Just type it out. Yes? Okay. So, okay. All right. All right. So somebody's just sending me something saying that in other chat groups, like the Cayman Traffic Awareness, they were earlier in the afternoon on Monday showing video of the police or some kind of prison escort that was running down spots, they said. So maybe some additional evidence that there was something that was happening in the vicinity of the prison. All right. So then the RCIPS just yesterday came back with the official response. So this was Monday that this incident happened. We got in contact with them as soon as it started to go viral. And then we had to wait for official confirmation that something happened. So you see here, Monday, we sent a message saying, hey, again, same thing, same exact message. We forwarded the original message. Can you confirm? And then you see what they come back and say immediately. Well, a couple hours later. Hello, there has been no reports substantiating this information. Fake Patrick Bodden, are you paying attention? I need you to pay attention now. So if you're paying attention, the police, this is their PR person, has said that there have been no reports. You know, here you go, before you take a block. There have been no reports substantiating this. All right. So I say, okay, thanks. Right. So now I have two sources within the police, the official media person, and then another anonymous source saying, nope, they don't know nothing about it. Nothing reported. Don't go. So I'm like, okay. And yesterday then morning, they come back and confirm, which at that point we already knew, that there was a report of a disturbance at the prison, but no formal request for investigation has been made. As such, it is recommended that any queries regarding the incident be sent directly to HMCIPS. So the police still are not in a position to tell us what happened. They still don't know because prison has not involved them. All right. Now I'm going to tell you what else we did yesterday after receiving that message to try and track this story down. Okay. Give me one quick break here while I sort something.
The Economics and Statistics Office, ESO, is currently conducting the annual business surveys until June 12. The surveys collect information to answer questions like, how did the economy perform in 2025? In 2025, how much did foreign companies invest in the Cayman Islands? The surveys include all relevant entities that produce goods and services in the Cayman Islands. The surveys are confidential under the Statistics Act and are exempt from the Freedom of Information Act. Your response matters. Do your part. Fill out and return your survey forms to the ESO. Remember, better data, better decisions, better business. For assistance in filling out the forms or for more information, visit eso.ky or call 244-4676 or 244-4600.
Cayman Mall Road is always keen to bring you the latest news first as it happens. So we've switched on WhatsApp channels to make it more convenient for both you and us to get all of the latest news alerts, traffic alerts, and everything else that's happening in your community. It's really, really simple to join the channel. First, just make sure that you've got the latest version of the WhatsApp application installed on your smart device. Then scan the barcode that you see here on the screen. That's going to open up the channel page and gives you the option to follow it. So you're going to want to click on follow. Then step number 2, at the top right hand corner, you're going to see the button that says turn on notifications. It's the little bell. So simply click on it and it'll turn it on, because by default, notifications are off for channels. And then that's pretty much it. At the bottom of your phone, when you're in WhatsApp, you'll see an area called updates, and that is where you'll click to see the WhatsApp channel, and all of your daily updates will be there. And you can even go back to when the channel was first set up several months ago and see everything that's been posted. It's a great way to keep up with CMR and everything that we're posting to bring you Cayman's latest news. All right, so we at that point began to realize, again, based on what our audience, our sources were saying, they're like, no, something definitely happened here. So not a problem. We have no qualms in saying, hey, it looks like what we posted earlier, we were trying to rely on police sources, but looked like what we posted earlier was actually not correct, and something did go down. What exactly? All the details. That's why you saw us then copy and paste, what we were being told, because we don't have anything official to go off of. So what can I say? The people who were sending us stuff were trying to be as descriptive as possible. So yes, they were like, nope, I'm sitting here right now looking at the Jamaican officer, a Filipino officer brought him in, a Jamaican officer brought him in. So I know some of you were like, well, why we got to know all that information? Like, why does it matter if it's a Filipino officer? And it's like, y'all do understand, right? Those details matter when you know if someone's actually giving you accurate information. If somebody says to me, oh, I'm just at the hospital and I see something going on, and they can't tell me who the person is or what they look like or whatever, that's more suspect than when someone can say it was officer, and let me tell you exactly what they said. It was Officer Keon Moore, was a prison officer who transported them, and a Filipino officer. So when they can get that detailed, then we know that they're actually sitting there looking at, I don't know who the hell Keon Moore is, but they're sitting there. And then they were seeing an x-ray with stab wounds. It's weird that the police wasn't there, but I thought HSA had to notify the police. So again, we don't know exactly what the protocol is when it comes to this type of incident. We would have thought naturally that the police would have been involved, but based on what the police are saying, they have not been involved in this at all. So of course, yesterday now we're thinking there's no statement from the ministry. We have seen nothing on this. I mean, official sources are acting like this didn't even happen. Am I going crazy, or what's going on here? So we reached out to the ministry yesterday. I saw where they read the message. And as of this morning, as of right now, there has been zero response to our query about what transpired at Northward Prison. So I sent an email that we had received information alleging that there was some sort of a stabbing incident at HMP Northward yesterday afternoon involving multiple inmates. We're reaching out to inquire whether the ministry intends to issue a formal statement regarding the incident and to request clarification on the following. And then I sent a list of things. Radio silence. So now I have to talk about the ministry. I mean, there is a certain protocol within government about how these things are handled. And why have we now, going into 2 days later, why have we received zero response from that ministry? Something. I don't know if the minister's off island. I have no idea where Minister DaCosta is. But normally how this works is they issue a statement. I know the minister has to look it over and has to be okay with it, and the chief officer has to approve it. Like, they have a very protracted and long list of processes. This is one of the reasons why government always says, we do like the leadership discussions and stuff with them, and they're always invited as guests and media. And so they say, we can't keep up with Mile Road or other media houses because our process is different, right? We're the official channel. We have to do things differently. But the official channels seem to not understand that we can get there a little bit quicker. This is 2026, is it not? My God, we've got phones. You can, no matter where you are in the world, I mean, sometimes time differences, I guess, make a difference, but you can message people and say, hey, review this document. Uh-oh, my tea bag burst this morning. I can't drink my tea because the tea bag it's all over. And I'm not trusting necessarily what's in that tea. I mean, we're drinking it, but I'm not taking in the particles. All right, I'm going to need another tea this morning. That one not going to work. But you guys understand what I'm saying? It's just crazy. So we have received nothing. What does that mean? I mean, I don't know. Someone is saying if I can call the deputy governor and Commissioner Walton live and direct on air, but Commissioner Walton doesn't have anything to do with this. This is not Commissioner Walton. The police are saying, look, yeah, this ain't got nothing to do with us. Right? If they have received no report, what can the police do? The police can't do nothing. I'm going to put on a little bit of lip gloss here this morning. All right? So, Minister of Prisons, can you help us out here? What actually happened? Oh my gosh, my little tip broke off. What actually happened at the prison? We need some details. We need some information. That's all I got. I don't know what else to tell you guys, except that we are waiting on somebody to tell us something. Okay. All right. I will try to reach out to Minister DaCosta as well to see if he is able to provide us with any information. Because I know Minister DaCosta, like I said, I'm not sure if he's on island, but if he's here, this is the sort of thing, folks, that he would be very disappointed in, to know that an incident has happened. And for at least going into 2 days, there has been no correspondence with the media, and we simply do not know what's going on. Let's now talk about Patrick Bodden, and then we're going to get on to some other topics. So this guy has been on CMR. I don't know when he joined. I don't know. Did they tell you when these people join? So he follows our public post. That much I do know. And it is quite obvious that his account is a fake account. So now he's trying to stack up on friends. And all of you have a responsibility to kind of cross-check. There are lots of people who send me friend requests and I do not accept it because when I look at the account, it is so obvious that it's a fake account, right? So looks like he probably joined Facebook in February. He likes a couple pages here, as you can see. Friends with Sarah Sue, Asha, Fame, Kirk Freeport, Josh Pearl, Delicia, Romeo Welcome. Does anybody, Nigel, David, Dwayne Seymour, Brittany, Wayne Sicard? I am challenging DJ Ryan, step into the studio. Any of you actually know who this person is? He follows a couple people in the political sphere, as we see here. Friends with France Manderson, Maureen, Kenneth Bryan. Does anybody, the news media, the progressives, the regiment, but does anybody actually know who Patrick is? Anybody know this Patrick Bodden? Claims he has 43 friends, right? It doesn't look like anybody does, right? This is an earmark of a fake account. One little photo, one profile photo, it looks like of the mangroves, and that's it. A few friends, because sometimes what y'all do is when you see someone else friends with them, you're like, oh, okay. But he don't have enough friends. Like, what you have to do is you have to ask people, do you actually know this person? Is this person actually a friend or someone you know in real life? Because like I said, the real Patrick Bodden has stepped forward and issued a statement to say, this is not me. People are thinking this is me, and this is not me. Now, the real Patrick Bodden actually has a reputation that he cares about. So, of course, he doesn't want a fake account trying to impersonate him. So he sent us, his name is Patrick Norman Bodden, right? He does not have a Facebook account. He doesn't post, comment, or engage in any activity in social media. So he says any content under the name of Patrick Bodden is not me. And he has a respectable job and a respectable position in the community at the Cayman Islands Monetary Authority. So of course he has to care about his reputation. This fake Patrick Bodden now, who decided to select this name without any thought or consideration for the fact that he could actually be impacting a real person with this name, is out here being reckless. Now, he seems to love CMR's page. I see he loves him some President Trump too, which being fake and loving President Trump kind of makes a lot of logical sense. So we're going to go ahead this morning and now officially block. Take block, as they say, take block. We're going to go ahead now, folks, and block said Patrick Bodden. So we go right there. There's 3 little dots. And those of you who are friends with him, I might suggest as well, all of you in his friendship list, I might suggest that you guys consider blocking him as well. So you go right here, hit that block button. They confirm. We're actually going to say, not only are we going to ban Patrick, but any new profiles that they may create as well. Before we do that, hold on. Before we do that, let's report the profile. So this is important sometimes to do because this person is claiming to be someone that they're not. So we're going to go here now and say fake profile. They're not a real person. And then we're going to submit that complaint to Facebook. Facebook doesn't always get to them, so we'll see. And then now we're going to take the opportunity to also, let me do it the other way, because then the other way, any accounts he creates will automatically be blocked. This way, yeah. All right, so we're going to block Patrick. Fake account Patrick, sorry for you. Go find somebody else to troll. All right, so he is now officially blocked from the CMR page. Says you block Patrick. Close. Wonderful. One less troll to deal with in our lives. Morning, Liana. She says, yep, they blocked. Call the prison director. So Jess, in our email yesterday, the prison director was actually copied in on the correspondence. So we can't, I can call him this morning, but I doubt he's even going to answer his phone. So, yeah. Okay. So that's that. So I don't know what to say in terms of this. I don't know if the deputy governor is aware of this either. He is ultimately head of the civil service. Does he know what's happening at prison? I have no clue. I wonder, how Mr. Manderson, the deputy governor, does always answer the phone. I wonder if the new DG is going to be as open in terms of if we call her, if she's ever going to answer us. We will certainly find out in short order. All right, Rex, good morning. Soon come to you there. Juliet, good morning. Thank you so much. All right, so let's move on. Johan, go sit in the back of the classroom. I ate your share brownie on Monday night, by the way. Them brownies had tasted so good. Oh my God, I hadn't made them in so long. Oh, I still got some in the fridge. I'm going to warm it up later on. Yum, 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 yum. Okay. Let us move on. Don't block Patrick. All right. So let's talk about the ESO. Again, there's several ESO surveys that are out right now that I definitely want you guys to pay attention to and to participate in if you're asked to participate, because the ESO has a job, and their job is collecting and collating information about what is happening. That's the Economics and Statistics Office, about what's happening in the Cayman Islands with a view to then being able to put reports out there, trends that we see happening and so on, right? And so it's important for the information to obviously be accurate, because there's a lot of community discussions. My apologies. I'm going to have to get that allergy tablet. Sorry, so sorry. There are a lot of conversations that are happening that come out of these surveys. And so we're going to have a look at an article that that really has come out as a result of one of the latest reports, which is the labor force survey for fall of 2025. So right now, the ESO is doing, as you can see, a labor force survey and a quality of life survey. So that one looks at labor market indicators, unemployed, employed, underemployed individuals, housing and living conditions, health, environment, infrastructure development, poverty, food security, affordability, police and security, and good governance. Those are the broad areas of the survey. And the enumerators will come around with their ID and ESO shirts surveying random households in all of the different districts. And this actually started on April the 26th, and it is ongoing. So if you have any questions, you can check out their website, eso.ky. And also they have a telephone number, ESO hotline, which is 516-3329. So that's one of the surveys that they have. And then they also have, let me just get the name of the other one quick second here. They also have the, I think it's the business, hold on. You know, there's so many implications from this data that is collected. And that's why it's very, very important that you participate in the data collection to make sure that that information is as accurate as possible. All right. So, I'm muted. Where am I muted? You guys can't hear me? All right, that's weird, because I see my audio levels moving. Can you hear me now? So strange. All right. Okay, maybe that was just a glitch online, but yeah. Okay. So here we go. This is the labor force survey fall report. And I was saying that this information and these reports, you know, really helps the government to make a lot of decisions, right? So we have a whole slew. This document is over 212 pages long. population estimates by country and birth and sex, right? So if we go here, we can see exactly what is happening. Now, what I would love a member of the ESO office, this is me putting this out in the universe, I would love for them to call into the program or to come on the show where we can do a deep dive into some of this information and really understand the trends for maybe 1 year to the next or the past 5 years, what's been happening, and where is it, quite frankly, that we're growing. So for example, for the longest time, we've been saying that Bodden Town is the fastest growing district. Is that still true? Right? Because I know even during the election, people repeat that all the time. Is that accurate? Is that true? I don't know if it's still true in 2026 because we need help dissecting the data. Don't just give us the data in this report, which is very, very detailed at 212 pages, but help us understand what the data actually says. I think that that's important. So we're looking at population estimates of around 90,000. Remember a couple of years ago when we had McKeever Bush saying, oh, we need to get to 100,000 people for this country to be viable and this and that and whatever, and everybody was kicking up a stink about, oh, no, we don't. Well, guess what? We are 10,000 people shy of that. And I'm pretty confident that that is actually going to happen in the very near future. It's coming. It is only a matter of time. Right? We see it. 90,577 are population estimates right now, total. And then they have it broken down by district, male versus female, pretty even numbers there almost. And then the distribution of the sexes by the district, various districts, Georgetown, West Bay, Bodden Town, North Side, East End, and then of course, the sister islands. And this was from information that they have. I'm sure some of it is historical data that they still continue to use. And then from there, we are looking at some new information that would have been collected. Now look at the breakdown based on status and sex. Caymanians, 41,063. Permanent residents, 9,061. Non-Caymanians, 40,453. Wow. That is very, very interesting. And we got to talk about why. All right, give me a second. I'm going to go get my allergy tablet, and I'm going to have to get some new tea brewing as well. And in the meantime, I'm going to put on loop the new survey. They're out there now because you have got to see why it is important for you to participate in these surveys so that they get the most accurate information available.
The Spring Labour Force and Quality of Life surveys conducted by the Economics and Statistics Office begin Sunday, April 26th. The Labour Force Survey collects information on employment and unemployment in the Cayman Islands, while the Quality of Life Survey gathers feedback on well-being, financial security, community belonging and overall life satisfaction. Trained interviewers with official ESO ID cards will visit randomly selected households. All interviews are confidential under the Statistics Act, and no individual information will be published. For details, call the ESO hotline at 5163329. The Spring Labour Force and Quality of Life surveys conducted by the Economics and Statistics Office begin Sunday, April 26th. The Labour Force Survey collects information on employment and unemployment in the Cayman Islands, while the Quality of Life Survey gathers feedback on well-being, financial security, community belonging and overall life satisfaction. Trained interviewers with official ESO ID cards will visit randomly selected households. All interviews are confidential under the Statistics Act, and no individual information will be published. For details, call the ESO hotline at 5163329. 329. The Spring Labour Force and Quality of Life surveys conducted by the Economics and Statistics Office begin Sunday, April 26th. The Labour Force Survey collects information on employment and unemployment in the Cayman Islands, while the Quality of Life Survey gathers feedback on well-being, financial security, community belonging and overall life satisfaction. Trained interviewers with official ESO ID cards will visit randomly selected households. All interviews are confidential under the Statistics Act, and no individual information will be published. For details, call the ESO hotline at 5163329. The Spring Labour Force and Quality of Life surveys conducted by the Economics and Statistics Office begin Sunday, April 26th. The Labour Force Survey collects information on employment and unemployment in the Cayman Islands, while the Quality of Life Survey gathers feedback on well-being, financial security, community belonging and overall life satisfaction. Trained interviewers with official ESO ID cards will visit randomly selected households. All interviews are confidential under the Statistics Act, and no individual information will be published. For details, call the ESO hotline at 5163329. The Spring Labour Force and Quality of Life surveys conducted by the Economics and Statistics Office begin Sunday, April 26th. The Labour Force Survey collects information on employment and unemployment in the Cayman Islands, while the Quality of Life Survey gathers feedback on well-being, financial security, community belonging and overall life satisfaction. Trained interviewers with official ESO ID cards will visit randomly selected households. All interviews are confidential under the Statistics Act, and no individual information will be published. For details, call the ESO hotline at 5163329. The Spring Labour Force and Quality of Life surveys conducted by the Economics and Statistics Office begin Sunday, April 26th. The Labour Force Survey collects information on employment and unemployment in the Cayman Islands, while the Quality of Life Survey gathers feedback on well-being, financial security, community belonging and overall life satisfaction. Trained interviewers with official ESO ID cards will visit randomly selected households. All interviews are confidential under the Statistics Act, and no individual information will be published. For details, call the ESO hotline at 5163329.
All right, folks, we are back. My apologies. I had to go find my little hay fever medication. I took one yesterday and it did help significantly. So let me take another one. I don't like to take too many of these actually because there's some kind of connection between allergy medication and dementia, actually, believe it or not. I think it's allergy medication. Anyway, sometimes you kind of don't have much of a choice. All right. So you notice here the population estimates in table 1.3 are very, very significant. Because when you hear Caymanians say that we are outnumbered in our own country, you know that, that's not a feeling, that's not an opinion, that is a fact, okay? And when you have still a relatively small population of less than 100,000 people, that's still pretty small. When you have over half the population not being Caymanian, you can, if you have a little bit of, conversation with people, you can certainly understand why Caymanians feel the way that they do. Why you feel like you're the last of the Mohicans. Why you feel like, you're being pushed out of jobs and positions. Because here's the reality. About half of our population is here on either permanent residency or work permits, non-Caymanians. In this Caymanian, and I'm putting this in quotations, 41,063 of those people, that's going to include people who have acquired status. So, what does that mean? that means that in truth, they're not going to give us this level of detailed information, because of the 41,063, how many of those are people who did not acquire their Caymanian rights to be Caymanian by a piece of paper? By law, we are not entitled. We cannot separate the two, right? So the law sees them as one. But if you talk to a Caymanian, who didn't have to apply to get it because of the length of time that they were here, whether they got that $1 million condo on the beach, I'm talking about the non-Lindas and Larrys in what was the one with the dock in West Bay? Those people, he has status now, right? We're not counting him really in being a Caymanian, but the ESO does, because legally he's a Caymanian. So the real numbers of Caymanians who acquired it by status, I would love to know this, but of course, like I said, I'm sure that they don't even ask that question. Of the 41,063, how many of those do you think would be Caymanians that were born here of at least, say, 2 or 3 generations? We're not even going to go way back. I'm going to guess that you can shave that number in half, at least. And so the truth is, you probably have around 20,000 people who are multi-generational Caymanians out of a population of about 90,000. I don't think I need to explain any further why people are being, or why they feel, and why, they say they are being disenfranchised in their own country when you have numbers like that. Yeah. It is interesting. They have a breakdown by age group, which I think is really, really critical. This 90,000, though, has a lot of people concerned. There are a lot of people who thought that they could stop the growth. They've said, no, we don't want 100,000 people here. Well, you're about to get 100,000. If we don't get to 100,000 by this year and by next year's survey, I would be surprised. What's driving the population growth? Where is this coming from? I mean, I have so many questions that I would love to be able to sit down and speak to the experts about. We have breakdown by nationality. So this one is always interesting to see exactly, where the population estimates are coming from. I don't think there's any surprises here that population estimates by birth. Now, this is where we can extract or extrapolate, as they say, a little bit of information. Remember when I said to you, I'd be willing to bet probably about 20,000 of the 40,000 Caymanians are actually born multi-generational Caymanians? You see this number here now, where they look at it by birth of 26,192 of the total population was actually born in Cayman. I wasn't that far off when you think about it. Because even of those born here, there might be some that are born here, and yes, they have a right to be Caymanian, they got status, whatever, but they actually aren't like a multi-generational Caymanian. So let's take out a couple thousand out of that. You see my number, my guesstimates were actually pretty close. I said probably about 20,000. We see 26,191, which is 28.9% of the population haven't been born here. And again, you can automatically make certain assumptions that not everyone who was born in Cayman would have even been born of, Caymanian parentage, but they might have acquired status by some means. Next largest group is Jamaica. The Jamaican population by birth is almost the same, neck and neck, what, 4,000 shy of the Caymanians that are born here. Then there's a huge drop with Americans, British. So we go from 28.9% of the population born in Cayman, 24.7% born in Jamaica, 4.1% the USA, 5.7% the UK, the Philippines, 7.3%, and then it goes from there. Rest of the world, 17.8%. They got Cuba, Caribbean, and so forth. So the vast majority of people who are here in Cayman, the top expat group, and I don't think there's any surprise to anyone, are Jamaican nationals. So even when you hear people saying, oh, you know, we got Jamaicans in prison, in the courts, they're all over the courts, they're all over the prison, police. Well, again, people say that. It's not that they're trying to be prejudiced. It's not that we're anti-Jamaican or we're anti-this or whatever. These are the facts, actually. And the facts are borne out by the population estimates by country, as we can see here from this ESO report. Yep. So that makes total sense. So yes, it's proven. Table 1.6, table 1.7. What's the difference between table 1.6 and table 1.7? Hold on. Population estimates by country of birth and sex. Population estimates of country of birth. Aren't they the same thing? I think they duplicated the tables here because I'm not seeing a difference. Over here, status distribution. Oh, okay. All right. Yes. I see the difference. So this, oh Lord have mercy. What is that noise? Your phone connection has a lot of background. Hello?
Yeah, hello. Good morning, Sunday.
Yeah, that was a bad connection there for a second. Morning.
Yeah, I don't know how you got that. You know, not that technical. But I was listening with great interest to your revelations there about the population. But is that based on like a voter's ID? Like more or less that's where that statistic is coming from.
Well, again, this is where I'd love somebody from the ESO's office to come on, because I would love to know how, like, what's their methodology. I mean, obviously they're doing the same survey. Yeah, they're doing the same survey right now, right? And I would assume it's probably a combination of information that they get from other government agencies, such as CBC, WRC, and they actually go around, asking people questions directly as well. So I can only assume that these numbers, because table 1.7 then goes into detail about the status distribution, how many are Caymanians, how many have PR, how many are non-Caymanians, and they break it down that way. So I'm assuming that information comes from WRC.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's so important to know where they're getting those stats from, exactly the source, because there's people that are not registered here, that people that is in this island not registered, Caymanians as well, So if it's going by just the registry.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, our population can only be based on what's in Cayman. So this not including Caymanians that are overseas. Because if they're not in Cayman, they're not part of the Cayman population right now.
But I'm just saying that there are people here. I think you really put your finger on exactly on the total amount of people. You'll never get the precise amount. There'll be some here or there off.
Yeah.
But I think it's more than that what has been revealed. I think if I had to, gauge a guess, because it's probably not based on, head count, which is be real difficult, right? But that is the only true way of knowing, head count, which, it's just like a kind of broad statement to state that. But I also heard you mention about, like the recognition of, Caymanian per se.
Mm-hmm.
I know you live in the U.S. for quite a while, right? From a young age.
Mm-hmm.
Did you become an American?
No.
You couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
You could become an American citizen, right?
I mean, I guess if I had continued to stay there and pursue that path, but I decided to come back home.
Yeah, the point I'm going to make though is that America being, and I'll mention UK, same breath, being probably two most liberal, if not the most liberal countries in the world. But you cannot go to England, even though we are British overseas, dependents. We can't become Englishmen in England either. No, I understand what they do it here, because, Cayman's built off of human resources. That's probably one of the ploys. So we got to make everybody feel equally so that everybody, more or less doesn't, refrain from any investments and feeling negative and all. Yeah. But just think about it, the broad thing though, the distinguishment from someone who is born, let's draw a scenario, a taxi driver. Okay, he's not born Caymanian. So the tourist, whoever he's, more or less showing the island to, asks him the question, are you a Caymanian? And he said, yes, but he's speaking with an accent. This tourist knows, this visitor knows the difference in the dialect. And they say, no, but you sound like you're from XYZ. You're not. It doesn't sound Caymanian. I say, oh, well, I have, I got naturalized. I got my papers. There is a difference in that when it comes right down to it, you see. But what I'm saying is the title. I understand there's countries, that actually pay people to come in, to populate because, of human resources, that's what fuels the economy in many instances. But we cannot, I don't think it's right. I think it was an indictment to the born Caymanian. We have to have a recognition for who we are. We are generational, and we all came from somewhere, whatever, but generational Caymanians, people who born in a country. I don't think there's any other country that you can go to that doesn't have that distinguishment. You find people integrated, of course, but you got to have some recognition for someone who, that has to say something. It's like, there got to be a difference from someone who gained it. You know what I'm saying? Not that say that they don't have the same privileges. That's not what I'm getting at. I'm just saying the entitlement, the distinguishment, that is off. That is far off. I just gave some glaring examples in the US and, the UK. You can't become an American or an Englishman by going there and staying there for, 100 years. They have a distinguishment, so I think it's more of an indictment on the people of the Cayman Islands who are the born Caymanians. And like I said, we're not trying to, disenfranchise or underprivilege anyone, but that recognition should have been done long ago. And I don't know which smart, bottom person actually came up with that, who got together. I didn't know the reason behind it, but at the same time, there is a consequence with the mentality. It's a cause of social interruption. And, it's almost an inferiority, to the Caymanian that is born here. And when you are classified, you know what I'm saying? So I guess something along those lines, but it is what it is, how we have evolved and what we're so dependent on, that MONEY, that it's like, the monitoring got to keep going and a lot of things going to be, shortcomings going to be in our development, I can tell by the model that we have. And it's really not sustainable, you understand? It will come crashing down. You know what I'm saying? It's not, not something I'm wishing for, but history have a way of repeating itself. And I've studied that, especially in the Caribbean region. I've seen how countries came and how they went. And it's always to think about politics. So take someone to lead the country, but, people just, Caymanians need to stand up for the civil rights a lot more. You are one of the few that seem to recognize that and have it, deep embroiled. It doesn't seem the Caymanians, because we didn't have to fight for anything over the last 50 years or so. It just more or less dropped in our lap. So we have become passive, subdued, and complacent to the point. And it has served us well, especially in tourism, with the way we greet and meet people I've heard tourists, because I've worked in that industry a long time, says like they haven't witnessed this anywhere else they went, the hospitality type of thing, which is changing now because of people that they meet who claims to be Caymanians or, I'm saying it's become tainted. But, but everything changed, which some things, the more it changed, the more it stayed the same too. But such as politics. But Sunday, I can leave you to continue doing your good work. And like I said, I don't know what Cayman would do without someone like you who is, putting your life on the line to that extent, to be, quite frank, to make the revelations that you do, because a lot of us would be in the dark if it wasn't for your voice.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right, Sandra, you keep up the good work.
All right.
Thanks.
Thanks, darling. All righty. 936-2626. The phone lines are open. I actually had someone else say to please tell Sandy that, let me just pull up this report again, to please tell Sandy that the actual numbers of generational Caymanians is more like 15,000. Lord Jesus, my heart can't take that number here this morning. Only 15,000 out of the 100. Jesus. Wow. That's crazy. That is crazy. Oh my God. Wow. I think we need somebody from government to come and help us with this labor force survey report. They sent out a press release and, we put up this little story about the population, but we need to have more discourse around this. Caymanians need to have a better understanding of what is actually happening. Because I can tell you that this makes a lot of us uncomfortable. Was this the plan? Someone in the comment section says, this is Nisi, says, good, genuine question. What's going to happen when we reach the government's target population? Will everything just stop at that point? What is the plan? Well, let me say this. This isn't this government's target population. Obviously, they have inherited a massive population growth that came from during the period, I would say, during the last 8 years, really, but definitely the last 4 or 5 years, there has been significant growth in a population that is being driven by work permits. And what are the drivers even of the need for all these work permits? Where are these people coming from? Where's the business? Where's the growth in the business? So we can't just look at population estimates and population growth. And we do see estimate here by year of arrival and so on, right? So we can't look at this in isolation. We need to look at it in conjunction with industries. What industries are driving this? Where are the work permits coming from? Where's the demand for foreign labor? And that will give us a better idea of why the population, especially after 2020, seems to be on quite an incline. Now, if the government, that isn't this government's position, I'm not sure that any government can completely stop population growth, right? So we have a situation where, say it's between 15 and 20,000 multi-generational Caymanians. We actually have a very low birth rate amongst ourselves. Yes. So we're not producing children. Our growth rate is almost stagnant. And so the population is growing not by multi-generational Caymanians, but by the foreign population. That's people on work permits who become PR holders and status holders. That is how, and work permit, obviously, holders are here as well. That is how the population is growing. What does this mean for us? I don't have the answers. I'm just asking the questions here today because I don't even know how I feel about it entirely. I mean, 100,000 people isn't necessarily a lot of people if you have the right infrastructure in place. you can sustain that level of growth. Obviously, we have the land. A lot of the land in Cayman is completely unused. So there is that. But I don't know. I mean, what do you guys think about this? I'm pretty sure that when next year's survey comes out, we are going to be at that 100,000 mark. So I'm going to reach out to the ministry. I think this one falls under the Honorable Ralston Anglin. And, you know, it would be interesting to get a little bit more info from the ESO folks in terms of where they're getting this from. They see here, there's a table 1.10 where they talk about the working age population. And of the 90,000, supposedly 77,000 are working age. And then they have that broken down. Again, Caymanians, 35,311. PR/right to work, 6,216. Non-Caymanians, 36,362. Because there's lots of policies that are going to be and are impacted by these numbers. For example, we have literally just undertaken a massive exercise for the first phase of immigration reform. They were on last week. Big shout out to Mr. Wesley Howell. But remember what part of what they said when they were here in relation to even trying to slow down and stop as much as possible the influx of temporary work permits? Let me play this video for you again to just remind you of what was said last week, Friday.
So the issue with temporary is that we've gone from a system where the volume of work permits is such that there are delays in processing long-term grants. Our current foreign worker totals right now, this is as of the 1st of May, 37,095 work permits and 8,892 individuals on PR, various types of PR. So that's 45,000.
All right, so let me just back this up. Because if you notice, right, Mr. Wesley Howell, obviously he's, again, I'm assuming getting this data from WORC, yes? And he makes mention here of 8,892 being people who are PR holders.
37,095 work permits. And
okay, so let's look at that now. Bring it back. Somebody do the math for me. He said 37,000 and something work permits. This report that we're looking at now is from last year's data. And you see what it says here? Non-Caymanians, 36,000, PR holders, 6,000, And he's already said on Friday, listen carefully, that those numbers have increased. So what I'm here to tell you, and I feel like I need to say this face to face, y'all need to look at me this morning when I tell you this, we are already at 100,000. Let me say it again. These are an estimate. Somebody said, please remind your audience that these are estimates, give or take 3% margin of error. Based on what Wesley Howell said on Friday, the PR holders alone is now over 8,800. This report had 6216. That's over 2,000 more, right? Work permits over another at least 1,000 more. I am here to tell you that I have no doubt that we already are at 100,000. I know some of y'all saying, oh, we can't. No, we can't get to 100,000. Cayman is too small, says Tartarian. We're already there. We are already at 100,000 people, give or take. Understand what I'm saying to you? How do you stop population growth? I don't know. All right, let's continue to listen to this, because again, when you pulling out the numbers, when you're extracting the numbers, it seems to me that we've already reached that 100,000 mark.
1,892 individuals on PR, various types of PR. So that's 45,987 foreign workers in country. WRC is seeing upwards of 60, 65,000 applications per year. So temporary has become the entryway into getting your first work permit, and then you transition into a long-term work permit. So through the fee schedule, we've introduced express decisions on grants. So that's within 21 days. And that express on grants is now the same price as the previous express on temps. And the express on temps has been tripled. That's signaling that we want you to apply for what you actually need. If you need a long-term work permit, don't apply for a temp first.
All right. There we are. Now, it's imperative to understand, and I'm going to share a conversation just this morning that I received from a foreign worker overseas. Okay. And I'm sharing this with you guys to show you the level of desperation that people around the world are in. And as a result of that desperation, Cayman becomes an easy target. Now, I don't have any qualms about people being desperate. I mean, listen, at one point we had workers here, or seamen who were desperate to leave Cayman. They went all over the world and they found job opportunities. Yes. And, we as a country are better for those opportunities. We're better for having seamen who could get on a boat and spend years away at sea, earning foreign currency to be able to, the US dollar, to be able to send that back to Cayman to build homes, to build businesses, to help sustain their families. And so this is not an indictment on poor people around the world who are desperate to get out of their own countries and to get out of their own situations. I understand that very, very well. And I know that there was a time when Cayman was also in that position, right? Now we are in an enviable position where we have jobs. We are in a position where we have a lot of industries here and there is work here. And in fact, the honest truth is there's more work here than we have Caymanians who can fill those positions. So this necessity for foreign labor, which I guess has been created by the industries that we have created, by the economic booms that we have, enjoyed for decades, now means that people halfway around the world who you might think have never even heard of the Cayman Islands know exactly where we are. And this is not entirely unusual that I get requests from these people looking for jobs. They find CMR's page on social media. They reach out and they think that I'm going to help them find employment. Let me just give you a couple examples. Again, this is literally this morning. I woke up to this person in Nepal messaging me about employment opportunities. And I'm going to obviously show you, what I had to say to them. The other day, it was a Jamaican lady messaging me, and I told her she needed to be very careful because, they're so desperate that they are willing to break the law. They're willing to pay for their own permits. And when I say to them, that's against the law, it doesn't really seem to bother them. Can you guys, I think you can see that, but I'm going to read it. Out of the blue, at 5:31 this morning, I get a message saying, hello, sir/ma'am. My name is Narinda Raj Dakal, and I'm a Nepal citizen. I need a work visa sponsorship for work visa sponsorship in Man Island. My experience is in the hospitality sector or construction sector. So I hope you can help me. 5:31 in the morning, I am not up, I am sleeping. So he got the automated message, says, thanks for reaching out. I'll be in contact with you as soon as possible. At 6:48, I respond and said, sorry, I cannot. I will pay you after, is what this person replies. I reply with, number one, that's against the law. Number two, we don't have a hospitality or construction company. So this is someone who's reaching out who doesn't even know who they're reaching out to, right? They haven't, you'll see here, I asked them, how did you even find us? How are you messaging me and what's up? Oh, we found you on Instagram. So you wouldn't go on Instagram and see what kind of business profile we have? I'm not in the hospitality or construction industry. There's absolutely nothing on our Instagram page that would give you any kind of indication that that was the case. So the conversation continues. I say it's against the law, and then which company do you have? Notice how he does not even pay attention to the fact that I say, number one, that's against the law. This desperation of people to be able to come to our shores at any cost is why we have some of the very issues that we have already discussed here on this program that amount to human trafficking, people being abused and taken advantage of because they are so desperate to come to a country where they think there's lots of job opportunities. It's easy to get a job. The money is here. Because it doesn't even make any logical sense. You're a poor person and you're desperate for a job in another country. Why would you be paying me to be able to come here? That speaks to how desperate these individuals are. And Caymanians need to understand the level of desperation, because that is going to allow our agencies, who some of them have fallen asleep at the wheel, to keep a very keen eye to the abuses that are happening in this country. And I hate to say it, but we have an increase in the Nepalese community here now. And I don't know, I don't know if one Nepalese person went back to Cayman and sent out a viral message to all of them that, oh, hurry up and come to the Cayman Islands. Because I know for a fact that a lot of you will look at them and you don't know that they're Nepalese because, not saying people look alike, but I'm saying people look alike. So sometimes you can't tell the difference between them and other Asian cultures. You might think that they're Indian, or you might even think that some of them are Filipinos, but they're actually not. I made that mistake. In December, I was talking to someone and I asked them about the Philippines. They're like, ma'am, I'm not from the Philippines. I'm from Nepal. I was like, oops. All this time, I thought they were Filipinos. I need you know. Not meaning to insult anyone. I'm just saying. But the bigger picture here that we need to be concerned about is because this desperation exists, we see a lot of them taking advantage of their own people. Yeah. So the conversation continues. Which company do you have? And I say it doesn't matter. As you said, those two, and we're not even hiring. So he said he's looking for hospitality sector or construction. And I say that number one, trying to pay me is against the law. And number two, we're not in the hospitality construction business. Then he asked me, what company do I have? I'm like, dude, does it matter? You said you're looking for a job in hospitality or construction. Again, the desperation means that these people come here and do anything, because listen to what he says next. He says, it's right, but if you really need employ, then, I think he meant then. And I said, how did you find us and not know what we do? Yeah, I don't know, but I find you on Instagram. What does your company do? If possible, please sponsor me. I can adjust to any low-level job in your office, home, or anywhere. I can work in any environment I can. And then I reply and says, this is not low level what we do. Then he replies and says, so it's mean not possible anywhere, yeah? And then he replies to my thing where I said, this is not lower level. Then he says, then maybe there is not even a 1% chance. Would you like to suggest me anything? Please, please. Sorry, I did not notice that this is a media company. So 3 hours later, he goes and double checks, I guess, our social media page, and he sees that we're a media company. And I respond and said, yep. Then he comes back and says, media companies also need employees sometimes. If any opportunity comes in the future, please, thank you. And then I'm going to be like, you have experience in media? Right? You can write stories, etc. in English? Like, well, what are you talking about? Come on. You just said hospitality and construction. Pay attention, folks. Because Cayman is not here to solve other people's labor issues. We're only here to address our own labor issues. So yes, where we have shortages, of course, we have to import labor. We have to bring people in. But this is but one example. I've had people from Jamaica reach out. Right? I'm like, lady, you can't pay for your permit. That's against the law. They're willing to do whatever it takes to be able to come to this country. I'm going to say that one more time. They are willing to do whatever it takes to come and stay in this country. And that's where we get the Filipina Michelles who will come here and prostitute herself, sleep with anybody, right? Break the law, get involved in illegal activity, whatever, to be able to stay in this country. Married some fool that ordinarily nobody in their right sense would want to be able to remain in Cayman. So our immigration policies have to be designed around this information. It has to be designed around the real world knowledge and understanding of what is driving this labor force here in the Cayman Islands. We are at 100,000 or more already. So the question then becomes, what, if anything, can we do to slow down this growth? Who is going to tell companies in Cayman, we've got one too many car companies, we've got one too many restaurants, no more bars and salons, no more, none of that exists here. It's a free market. So government sees yet another company opening up another business, right? They're not going to say, no. We've already got more than enough beauty salons and we know what to do with. And it's an industry in which they're struggling to have customers. We don't need beauty salon number 521. We don't need car wash number 1,215. We don't need another car rental business. So if the government can't, and I'm not saying that I agree that they should, tell people what businesses to open up, that they can't grow their businesses, because no government in their right mind, that's economic growth. That's what we want to see, right? But you see, these are things that you got to think about, because this is what's driving the need for foreign labor and work permits. It is the growth. So you can't stop population growth unless you're willing to say, we're going to stop growth altogether, growth in business. Because I want to see what business owner would be willing to call me right now and tell me that they're happy with where their business is at this time, and don't want to grow and have another single new customer, whatever your profit margin is at this time, you're good with it and you're good to go. I'm going to challenge you. There's not a single real estate company in Cayman that doesn't want to sell more real estate. There's not a single bar in the Cayman Islands that doesn't want more people drinking. There's not a single grocery store in Cayman that doesn't want more people buying groceries or spending more money on groceries. So there's no business that is going to be able to say that they want less economic growth, right? They're satisfied where we are, or they're willing to even take losses for the sake of keeping our population in check and keeping our population down. It's not realistic. And so we can have conversations, and I see a lot of your conversations here, but what I'm telling you is we can have conversations about, oh, this is too much. No, we can't sustain it. But I'm telling you, it ain't going to stop. Unless you are willing to make sacrifices. No more growth. Right? Caymanians are benefiting from this growth. You guys are building apartments. You're renting those apartments out. You have businesses, and your businesses are thriving, not because of 15,000 generational Caymanians who patronize your business, but because of the 40,000, 36,000, 38,000 people who are here, plus maybe some of the Caymanians, who are actually here on work permits, who are patronizing your business. So this is the interconnectivity. I hear your complaints. I understand why you feel marginalized in your own country, and I get it. But I'm also here to tell you the truth. And the truth is, you can't really stop population growth without some serious consequences in the economy. We see it happening right now in the United States of America. This is the first time that they've actually had negative growth, population growth, and it has been driven by what Trump is doing. But the fallout of that, the economic fallout, is something the Americans themselves will come to regret in time. Florida, perfect example. Right now, Florida has become one of the most expensive states to live in. We're going to talk about that on tomorrow's show. People can't afford it. So they're having to leave the state. That's going to mean housing that is going to be devalued, empty, right? Certain towns that were on an upward projection, now not so much so. Certain industries, even crops, the farming industry now has nobody to go pick the fruits. So all that stuff is going to be wasted. Farmers are going bankrupt. I mean, there's an economic downside to all of this. Caymanians have to really ask themselves, what is it that we want? What does this country look like for you? Because we can't undo what has already been done. We are already a minority in our country. Y'all think that we can undo that? How? Give me a solution of how 15,000 people, right? What is our plan? Just like we have a plan for the iguanas to increase and bring up their numbers. What is our plan for how we're going to do that now for 15,000 Caymanians? It's a near impossible task. As much as we may have the desire to do so, the practicalities of it all is a near impossible task, if not literally impossible. Ingrid says, please say it louder, Sandy. It's against the law to pay for people to pay for their own permit in the Cayman Islands. So employers can sink it into their thick heads and stop asking for it to be done. Leanna says, prime example on that CBC officer that abused and then ran over that Caymanian man over papers. Wake up. Well, she didn't run him over the papers. She ran him over because, she wants to live her best life as a single woman, allegedly. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Anna. How are you doing today? Interesting
Hey,
discussion.
how you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Yeah, that's a long, serious conversation.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about that, I think. I just more, you could do a poll. You think you could do a poll on that?
What's the question? What's the question?
Asking if the people are happy with the current economic model for the Cayman Islands.
Well, let me ask you the question. What is the current economic model of the Cayman Islands?
Well, let's put it this way. This is where we got to put our heads together. I'm not the smartest guy in the room, and I admit that, but we got to put our heads together and come up with solutions. And I think the solutions are out there. It's just that there's some people, those probably that are in control, in pursuing that model. Yeah, because you got to realize, I hear what you're saying, but you got to realize now, this is a capitalist society.
Right.
Break it down, plain and simple.
Yes.
Right. So, okay, we got a certain mindset from time we were children. We raised up in this region of the world. It's a capitalist system. We got to get all we could get. We got to be successful. And our vision of success is in some cases, what's the word I'm looking for? Isn't based on the reality of what life's supposed to be, of a better life. But we can't think beyond that box. We're in a glass, and we can't think outside of that to say, well, okay, we can make a more successful life. Those things where you just there, yeah, everybody want to make more money, sure, but at our detriment?
Well, like I said.
So what about our future for our children? Because most people that in this country, it bringing competition onto us, and we can make less money. Things could get more expensive here, but we're making less money. Yeah. So that's another side of the flip coin. I don't know if people out there understand that, because things always on this island always be expensive, because we're the most expensive country, island in the world, place in the world.
Well, it's expensive. Okay, so it's expensive in part because we import everything. So that adds
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But let me ask this question, right? Do you know of any Caymanians who have rental property who are now happy to have that rental property empty?
Well, is another disillusion that people thinking, is it gonna be empty? I mean, how much we couldn't get them rented at 50,000 people. It wasn't rented with Caymanians, and you imagine we got to go,
No, but hold on now. Hold on. If we were to even go and look at the number of apartments that have gone up in the last 5, 10, 15 years, every single Caymanian, their retirement plan, because you can't live off a pension, right? So their retirement plan is to build apartments. So at 50,000, there was a lot less apartments on the market, and they were a lot cheaper too. So now that the population continues to increase, more and more Caymanians like, oh, this is a viable business.
So
it
could be right.
At 50,000, we didn't have all those condos and stuff that you see in West Bay right now. I can tell you that.
Yeah, well, I agree, but we're bringing them in because you need more people, just like what you said. So I'm not disputing that. That is true what you're saying, but because that's an economic model. But on the flip side of that, now, if we now had all of this inflation that is being brought up, not only on world issues that we get the side effects of in some cases, it's just some of that is locally driven. So maybe if they could have lived off of the pension and retirement, they would have made an apartment, or they go ahead and build an apartment, and Caymanians would have been able to rent to rent it. If they were paying the Caymanians good, if Caymanians were making a decent salary, they would go there and rent. And it would be a normal growth among Caymanians, and we would have reached that 100,000 population threshold. Naturally, but this is it what happened is it's inflated, and they want it quicker than what the infrastructure and everything could handle, because you agree that the infrastructure is lagging, right? How much the infrastructure is lagging.
Well,
so people got to know this is the don't know where these extra 100,000 people now that we brought in since over the last year. They're not gonna produce more garbage. They're gonna produce more garbage. They're gonna be more traffic on the road, more wear and tear on the road. Where the money coming from? We got how stretching out to get more people in here, so that government could develop another budget to keep funding counterproductively, keep funding the mess that is being created, and that's how capitalism works. So this is what I'm saying now. I'm not completely as a socialist, but there's time to develop certain models from that mindset, rather than just capitalism. We can make all we could make and just keep on driving. That's my point of view, because all of it's not doing us much good. 100,000 people, you get more. You can't go in the yard unless you got a pile of people looking at you and all this garbage. The place is being deteriorated. Is that good? Is that what Caymanians really want? Real Caymanians, the 15,000 of us that live here, we can't even afford children. I bet you one of them foreigners that come here, they're looking to produce children because they got a different mindset. You see what I'm saying? So the Caymanians was unable to grow. That is why it is the Caymanians was able to grow, and this has been happening for the last 40, 50 years since we started to make money. Since the late 80s or the mid 80s that Caymanians started really see and know what money was. We've been driving this capitalist society, and I mean it's in the region, it's in the region. So we just develop that, the capitalist is all throughout the most part of the Western Hemisphere, or the northern hemisphere, wherever we are. So that is the kind of mentality that we can't see beyond that. Then the people can't see beyond that. That way, rather than the labor carbon side. Sure, I don't need to make $300 a day if I could live off $100 a day. Why do I need $300 a day? You see what I'm saying? So money is just paper, and money is just a number. That's all it is, So if $100 could buy what $300 to buy, why do I need to make $300 for it? You see what I'm saying? So it's just a mindset and the way that people think, and they were educated to think a certain way. That is all it boils down to.
Well, let me tell you something now. $100 5 years ago isn't the same $100 today, and it's not going to go as far nowhere in the world. So it's not just that it's just a piece of paper, and a lot of these things have nothing to do with us, right? So we don't impact the value of the dollar and how much it's going to buy.
I know that what I'm saying. If the population wasn't inflated, we would have made do with what we got, right? So what we're trying to do is to drive and compare ourselves with people in US and in Europe and stuff. I know that there's big typhoon developers here and all that. They need big money to keep the engine rolling, But the normal poor Caymanian, because I think there's still some Caymanians poor. I don't think it's many rich of us. So we don't necessarily need that. We're struggling to maintain that lifestyle. So that's all it boils down to. I know inflation can take its course. I know that, and I agree exactly with what you're saying. But what I'm saying, what we could have controlled here locally, we got to control it. We're not controlling it. It's just like it's runaway capitalism, and then nobody wants to grab it by the hand and like what you said, tell the company, well, listen, we're not bringing in no more people, so I'm gonna how make do it. with the money want to make in. People got bank loans and all that to pay because all their life they've been living a certain lifestyle and was in some cases forced into a lifestyle that now they're in debt. So they need these pile of apartments. They need this pile of money to get out of debt and to retire and to buy and to put food on the table. But if there wasn't really under the capitalist system where they have to do that drive and all and borrow money from the banks was good. Oh, that's good. Come on, borrow. We'll lend you this. In the early days, they were begging you to take out a loan, you know. In the early days, now all kind of money now off the Caymanian people, and you can't get a loan, you know. Who gonna get the loan out? The foreigner gonna come in there because you just touched on another point, which I totally agree with. It's not gonna be easy for us, 15,000 people, to come back as a majority. It's gonna take another 20 or 30 or probably another half of a generation or a generation for us to get back that we could become the majority again. There's no initiatives being or no incentives being for the Caymanian people to have children. I hear them coming up with this new thing that was just made in Parliament that they're going to give Caymanian children $5,000 when they reach 18, you know, like a K1. Like a K1, or what do you call it, a 401k or something for Caymanians. But they got to say, well, okay, young families, if you have two, 3 children, Caymanian have another, not have children with a Caymanian born native. Well, we'll give you a house and school and the children, all those kind of stuff. But
I mean, hold on now. But Mr. Shalat, that's not even realistic. Government can't even give people housing that need the housing, much less if I just have 3 children and I don't necessarily need government's help. They're gonna give me housing just because I haven't Caymanian children. Not to mention, hold on. Not to mention that you can't find no Caymanian men because you all Caymanian men going out here looking for foreign women with straight hair from the Philippines and Honduras. So you're not even looking for a Caymanian woman. So where I can find a Caymanian man from? I'm just saying. Wait, all right. Wait. Remember now where you get yours from? You had to go Honduras. Why? You couldn't find a good Caymanian woman?
Yeah, well, because most of one between like what you're saying, you can't find a Caymanian man.
Well, you know, with only 15,000 of us, we can't be.
First thing, the Caymanian woman, I said, boy, he not make no money, and that Caymanian man is blacklisted. So
yeah. Well, all right. You say might as well get the foreigner. Hold on now. Hold on, because and guess what? That Honduran woman don't really want you either, but you have something more than her. So she's willing to take you and make that sacrifice because you got more than what, although you might be poor in Cayman, you're not poor by Honduras standards. So she's willing to take you because you got something more than her and you can offer her a better life in the Cayman Islands.
Yeah,
what you gonna be?
That's the situation in every case.
I'm not saying every case. I'm not saying every case. But let's be realistic here. All right, let's be realistic here. Hold on, stick a pin. Right? 15,000 Caymanians. If I don't want to marry my cousin, which I don't, or any other close relative, and y'all are out here looking at foreign women like they're the Holy Grail, what pickings do people even have to marry each other? You said if a Caymanian woman can have children with a Caymanian man, that already is flawed logic because that's not gonna work. There's too few of us already. It's too late for that. That's all I'm saying.
Not too late.
It is too late.
They're fighting a battle. You know, it
is infinitely difficult.
I agree. Yeah, exactly. I agree. But there's certain things that could be done.
And hold on a second. Hold on now. Here's another flaw in what you're saying. right? You want me to have 3 children. Now, I can't afford 3 children. And I'm not talking about just the monetary affording of 3 children, the time that it takes to raise 3 children and give them individual time, try and give them a good education. This is 2026, Bobo. The village not helping you to raise your children no more.
So I just got through telling you it's the capitalist mindset. You don't know that in China and in some parts of Switzerland and things, they give maternity leave for women and the other part where you call for man, and they give them a day or 2 off of the week that they could spend with their child. They could only go to work 5 hours, and the rest of the afternoon for 2-3 weeks they spent with their child outside doing some recreational
but listen, those countries
should be implemented.
Yeah, but those countries hold on. Mr. Shalat, hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second now. Those countries that you see offering that sort of thing, those are not poor countries where you can have 2, 3, 4 jobs to make ends meet, you know. So there's a lot more that's going on. There's a lot more that's going on there. Right? For you to be able to get extended maternity leave.
How are we poor now? And
I'm not saying
is a top 7 and one of the most.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying in order to.
And all of a sudden now we're poor when it comes to
no.
When it comes to helping the Caymanians, they're poor, you know. But if they got dish out something to do out of foolishness, they gonna dish it out and they gonna have plenty of money to do that. They don't give millions of dollars to help other countries around the world. They gave, and I got no problem with it. But I'm just saying they gave hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars to help Jamaica there last year. They're giving all kind of stuff. You know the kind of laws could be. You know this pretty well as I do, and other people are more versed in the things that I'm saying. I'm just looking at it from a layman's point of view and a common sense point of view. There could be things implemented to help the Caymanians. We could implement tax on all of these mutual funds and all that kind of stuff. There's trillions of dollars that is being given out. The things that they talk about that in Parliament sometimes that doesn't pass and doesn't go through the House and doesn't implement it is the things that is helping us, but they're not helping us because there's another lobbyist out there that is working against us and keeping the status quo the way that they want it in their favor. These laws could be implemented. They could Caymanians, every single 15,000 Caymanians and more could be having free medical care for the rest of their life. If they put the right laws into place, but they're not putting them into place because Cayman isn't being run by Caymanians, and that's not happening now. It's been happening from time we started to make money. From time our ancestors went to sea, my grandfather and them went to sea, my father and them went to sea. When they came home, bring the money, you know what the bank did? The bank tricked them. The bank tricked the people into debt and put them into debt, and then brought the capitalist society here. We were just a labor community, and our seafaring years done as well. We built it, but then we never made productive strides forward after that to better the Caymanian people. We would just had what you call tunnel vision, just for the capitalism. Oh, this is the way it got to be because the rest of society is doing it this way. This region of the world is under the United States was under the capitalist regime. Canada and North America was under the capitalist regime. Britain was under the capitalist regime, so we had no choice but to follow it. I understand that, you know what I mean? But then when we got common sense, like in the 90s and stuff, a lot of other things could have been done that was talked about to do, and it isn't being done. You know, I'm not anti-development, but I am pro-productive development. You see what I'm saying? All these buildings, therefore what you call it, okay, Caymanians can't stay in them hotels, in them apartments and stuff what being built. We know that, right? Because there's a housing crisis and then the inflation. So who them houses, who them developers building up all them apartments for? So you rightfully say that. So they're not gonna be an agenda now wouldn't there be an agenda now to bring in people to fill them them apartment complex and all that for the building, there would be an initiative to do that. So this is where the initiative coming from. So we're funding this capitalist system. Capitalism is a beast, you know, and it's not gonna get full. You just keep eating away, and it's not gonna get full. And if nobody gets behind the wheel, put their foot down and stand up and say, well, we're gonna steer this, and we're gonna steer this in the way for let it work for the Caymanian people, the grassroots Caymanians. This is what got happening, but none of grassroots, none about fighting for us. It's none about fighting for the Caymanian people. We come out here and talk, spill our beans, express ourselves. Oh, with this, but they sit back laughing because we're getting hurt. We're being hurt and we're being licked down. Got to come back up, being licked down again. You know what I mean? So this is what's going on. A lot of things could be done out there to help the Caymanian people, but it's not being done. We're gonna make capitalism work for us, but it isn't working for us. It's working for the foreign developers. You know, I'm not against no foreigner. I love everybody. I'm a Rastafarian by heart. Love everybody. You know, so when I talk about certain things about foreigners coming into the country and taking them to the job, it's true. It's no lie. It's true. This is what's going up. So the Caymanians lost the battle. We lost the battle from about 20 years ago. We had a chance 20 years ago. Now it's becoming harder and harder. That's the reality. So I would like you to see if you could do a poll to see what comes up. Government not gonna use it or say well we can consider it. So just do a poll just so that you'll see. And what you're saying, people might be free to come out and talk and express themselves and stuff. Cause God, no, I'm not good at expressing myself either verbally. You know, I would prefer to write. So you know, this is what I'm saying. There's a lot of things that could be done to help the Caymanian people. You know, it coming like it's a scorn against the Caymanian people. Like, well, boy,
all right,
he getting a hit, boy, we can't let him get a hit, and it's some of our own, and then it's a lot of foreign pressure that is pressuring the politicians. Politicians don't listen to us, you know, they listen to the lobbyists and and whoever got the money to pull the strings and run the mail. That who runs the mail. It's simple like that. That's how capitalist system works. So it's time for us to think another business model that would benefit the Caymanians, or let capitalism work for the Caymanians. Then, all right, thank you.
Yeah, yes, my dear.
I didn't want to be that long with you, but so you keep asking me questions, so to get things clear, which is all right. So I love you. Right,
I appreciate it. Thanks.
Good day.
All right. Okay. That was a lot to try to unpack. And a lot of it that's not gonna work. I mean, I'm sorry, but you know, some things don't work. Someone actually said about China, they said, but didn't China have a one-child policy to try and stop population growth, and to, you know, now they're having issues because of that? I mean, there's so much. Listen, Lord God, I think we have to end the show there today, because after that phone call, my brain kind of like, All right, here's what we're going to do. Tomorrow, I have already reached out to the ESO. I'm going to try to get somebody on the show who can break down some of these numbers and explain the implications perhaps of some of this for us. Let me see who's willing to come on. And then we can continue having this conversation, but I think that we also need to talk about certain industries, right? So with only about 15,000, let's even go with the numbers that they say, because, you know, once a person has status, you can't deny the right to be Caymanian unless they break the law, unless they do certain things. So they're in the job and placement market as well. So say, for example, my husband, he's Caymanian now. He has status, right? So I can't, in my own household, say to him, well, you shouldn't be entitled to certain jobs because you got that by way of marriage to me, because he is now part of a Caymanian family. We're a mixed family, Jamaican Caymanian family. My child is a Caymanian. So we can't deny him rights because he decided to marry a Caymanian where he can't hold certain jobs and so on. So we're going to have to go with the numbers, the population numbers of, 36,000 and change Caymanians, whether they're multi-generational and a combination of status holders, right? But even with those numbers, even if we accept that number as that's the number of Caymanians that we have, regardless of how they got it, there's a lot of you who are still saying, but hold on a second, Sandy, we are being pushed out of job opportunities. In fact, the irony of it is a lot of work permit holders will say to me when they became a Caymanian, that's when they had difficulty actually getting a job. And you know me, I'd be low-key chuckling. I'd be like, oh, really? So now you know what it feels like to be a Caymanian. Welcome to the club. You know, when they went a permit, they had no problems. So let's talk about the job opportunities in Cayman and what is happening with the people who are on work permits versus the Caymanians who are trying to get access to jobs, and why there seems to be some sort of a disparity there. Caymanians saying that they could not get jobs. So let's touch on that on tomorrow's show. And I'm going to tell you, we're going to bring the cold hard truth and the cold hard facts. And I have a story to tell you guys about one of those young men who was involved in the jewelry robbery the other day, right? Where his mother was telling him as a Caymanian, he shouldn't go out here and work for $10 an hour. And that would be based on what? Because he has a qualification, because he's educated, because he has a skill or trade. No, he not got none of that. But the expectation from a Caymanian mother is that he should not have to work for $10 an hour. He might as well stay home and sell drugs or go rob a jewelry store because somehow that's going to serve him better in life. Well, you see, now he headed to Northward for being involved, allegedly, when he's convicted. He'll go to Northward for being involved in a jewelry store robbery. So some of us have the wrong mindset of entitlement, regardless of what we're bringing to the table, and that can't work either. So let's bring it home on tomorrow's program. Thank you guys, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, radio listeners. Thank you guys so much. Anthony, you're making me laugh. So let's have the continued discourse tomorrow on tomorrow's program. Participate in the polls. And somebody said your facial expressions be killing me. So let's tune in tomorrow morning and participate in today's poll. And then we will take some more of your comments and questions. And one person says, dear God, the ignorance of our people. And here's the thing. The ignorance of our people is one of the reasons why we are where we are and where we're going. Let me say that again. The sheer ignorance of some of our people is why we are where we are and why we're going where we are going. And I mean from the very top, from the people that we choose to elect to public office, some of them ignorant, bad, and shouldn't be in the position. They're not helping nobody but themselves and their select few friends. And then election time, they fool you, they pay you off, whatever, to put them back in office. Where are they between the 4 years, the 3.5 years, right? From them all the way down. We've got community leaders, church leaders, school teachers, all sorts of people that are bona fide Caymanians that are just pure, ignorant, and stupid. And that's a problem. Tomorrow morning, 7:30 a.m., let's continue the conversation. We'll see you then. Please be safe until then. And hopefully we'll get an update on the prison situation that we can report to you then as well.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Cold Hard Truth on Bobo 89.1 FM. Cayman's #1 talk show is live weekdays from 7:30 a.m. Never miss an episode again. Watch anytime on CMR's Facebook and YouTube channels for the latest show episodes. Don't forget to follow us online on our social media channels and visit CaymanMarlRoad.com for all the latest news and community happenings.